All right, guys, welcome back to the ALGS channel. Hope you guys are all doing well and having a great day so far. We've got a lot to dive into and discuss in today's video regarding the ALGS Split 1 playoff groups that have now been announced, and we're going to dive into these and dissect which groups are the easiest and which groups are the hardest, and which teams I think are honestly going to have a very fair way to make it out of this. Also, we've got to talk about a competitive Apex Legends update that seems to be in the works now. It's still in its trial mode right now, and it's looking for feedback, but honestly I think it's going to be a big addition, and sadly the way it came out actually involved a little bit of drama. So let's dive into and discuss of all things going on in the world of ALGS. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let's dive right into it. Firstly, I want to give you guys a little bit of an update on Scrim announcements and the latest on Scrims. Legacy in first place with Scrims number 1, LG in second, SSG in third, Disguised in fourth, and Furia in fifth. What do you know? Top 5 teams, all North America again. And so it just seems like this trend is going to continue on. But from some other regions, you do have Serenity, Reject Winity, and Aurora, Moist Esports, and Team Burger. So 4 other regions involved in that top 10 as well. So not to say that NA is completely dominant, right? There are some North American teams like E8 that are outside of that top 10, and you've got some other regions in the top 10. But for the top 5 to all be North America, it is crazy. And that trend continued over in Scrims number 2. SSG, Dark Zero, Disguise, Furia, and Oxygen Esports, and LG in the top 6, all North American teams. And then obviously these other regions follow suit, but it's crazy to see. Honestly, I think we might be looking at another North American year, but I really hope not. Seriously, I actually mean that. I do want to see some other region maybe take a LAN win this year. Now, it is interesting because we do want to talk about, obviously, the legend meta is very, very important. And of course, there's a lot of different metas that will be ran in other regions. We saw Lifeline really being used by Aurora in the EMEA scene, but not much of it in the North American scene. However, it doesn't look like the meta has drastically made that big jump quite yet. Of course, a lot of people are testing out Seer, and a lot of people are testing out some other things. I've actually seen a fair bit of Bangalore still around as well, but we'll see exactly where this legend meta is going to go and see if it actually makes a big deal or difference as we dive into the Split 1 playoffs. Now, let's make mention of the groups itself. This is a big one, and we've got to talk about all 40 teams and where they find themselves, because this is going to be the path to the championship, right? This is going to be the path to finals as well. So let's start it off with Group A. Dark Zero, Navi, Kinatrip Gaming, MDY White, Team Burger, Crazy Raccoon, 2 Rats 1 Controller, Luminosity, Oxygen Esports, and Never to Change. And although I know Luminosity's in here, Dark Zero's in here, you know, Team Burger, maybe some others that you guys really respect. Navi, obviously, also a really good team. I do think that this is the easiest group of all 4 that you're about to see, and they're not even a bad group. It's just that these other groups are unbelievably crazy, and I do think that North American teams should have a fair, easy way to get out of this Group A, considering that you know, I do think they're a little bit of ahead of the competition. Now, I do want to preface, obviously, when you look at Scrim results, and I know Scrim results don't tell the whole story. We've talked about this over and over and over, but maybe they give us some indication and storylines that we can build upon as we go into LAN. Now, North America does have this massive benefit in all of these Scrims where they're actually getting to play on their own ping. All these APAC North and APAC South teams are having to play on like 200 plus ping. So of course I can see why North America seems to be dominating so far, but it's not necessarily to say that those are the stats you're going to be getting at LAN. It's going to be an entirely different story possibly. But then you go into Group B. I think this is a step up from Group A. Aurora, Reject Winity, Tom Young Kung, Legacy, Disguise, Serenity, Omit, Yoko Cloud9, and Geared Gaming. Geared Gaming is probably the team I'm looking out for here, because I'm very interested to see how South America's finest is gonna do and kind of match up with the rest of these teams, because they've been an outcast this year. This is the first LAN that we've gone in for year 4, and year 4 is the first year that we haven't had a South American Pro League anymore. Has that changed anything? Are they gonna have any better results than what they're used to having? And honestly, they haven't had great results in the past anyways. But Group B is just a crazy, these top 5 teams here, just those alone are really a big step up in my opinion to a lot of these other groups. But then you go to Group C. Honestly, no, this is probably the most stacked group in all of this, but it's obviously arguable. I'm interested to see what you guys have to say. Fnatic, Legends Gaming, TSM, Made in Heaven, 07, E8, Boogie Borders, Northception, Furia, and AUV NDY. Now, these guys are unbelievably stacked, because you've got 3rd place at World Championship, Legends Gaming. You have the world champions, TSM, Fnatic is, yes, going through some growing pains, but they're still Fnatic at the end of the day. 07, a top EMEA roster with Nasky, who finished 6th at the World Championship last year. Boogie Borders, the top APAC South team, really got some heavy hitters, and obviously you've got a lot of pro players that have played on some really talented rosters already. And the Boogie Borders are not just some normal unsigned team that we have to really figure out if they're actually good. No, these guys have been on good teams. They've been at LAN. They are very talented. Northeption is one of those teams as well that does pretty well in group play. Now, group play obviously isn't going to tell the story in finals, but Northeption is usually a team that will find a way to do really good in a group stage. So this is why I think they're also stacked. And then Furia as well. I mean, yes, they've had ups and downs. They finished dead last at regional finals, and they've also won some sets as well. But Furia does look solid overall, and I think they'll fare well in these group stages as well. And then honestly, AUV and EY, I'm going to be honest with you, I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that right. I don't know much about these guys, and I'm interested to see if we'll get some more recognition from some of these unsigned rosters and some of these teams from other regions as well, because I really do want them to make a name for themselves. I'm sick of North America just doing absolutely everything and anything, and that's coming from someone who lives in North America. But then you go into Group D, arguably the other stacked roster or other stacked group that might be the most stacked group in all of this. Wonton Dumpling, Moist Esports, Alliance, Riddle Order, HAO, Passion UA, Space Station Gaming, Heroes, Complexity, and BR Demons. So another really talented roster. Now, what's crazy to think about this is that you're going to see these groups go up against each other. So you're going to have a match where Group B is in a game with Group C, and Group C is in a game with Group D, and Group B is in a game with Group D. And obviously, all of these guys are going to play each other. So the thought to have TSM, Moist Esports, Alliance, Riddle, Fnatic, E8, Complexity, Furia, Northeption, Boogie Borders, and Space Station, all in the same exact lobby, 07, and then maybe even Aurora, Reject Winity, TYK, Legacy, Disguise, TSM, like all those guys going at the same time. I feel bad for these other regions that are maybe a little nervous in this, because rightfully so. Now, here's what the world champion from 2 years ago and also Split 1 playoffs from last year had to say about all these teams that are involved. Here's his tier list coming from Dark Zero's IGL, Mr. Zero himself. So, of course, Dark Zero and TSM and Moist Esports are in their S tier, or the favorites to win this, or favorites to do good at this LAN. Then you've got Space Station. You've also got Luminosity, you've got Legends Gaming, you've got DSG, and I believe that is, these are the Chicken Boys. So that is, that's going to be Team Legacy right here, Los Pollos Hermanos. So then you've got E8 in the OK finals. You've got Alliance, you've got 07, Reject Winity, and then Tom Young Kung as well. Then, Should Qual is Oxygen, Cloud9, Boogie Borders, Furia, Riddle, Complexity, Team Burger. But then after that, it's really a little bit more of, disrespect. I don't think these guys are good. These guys are bad. And so you could see, South America already getting called out. BR Demons and Geared Gaming is in this bad list. You got Northeption in this bad list. You've got Navi in 40th. And, obviously they're one of the more highly rated EMEA teams. Then a wild card here is Aurora. I'm kind of surprised that Zero thinks that that Aurora is a wild card. I think they've proven themselves time and time again. However, they've proven themselves in the EMEA scene. So it's interesting to see if that's actually going to, transfer over to LAN with all these other regions involved as well. But I am rooting for Aurora, and I really hope that they have a fair time at the championship here in the finals for Split 1 playoffs. But also wanted to mention the big news we have been discussing in the last couple of videos. We've been talking about dropship changes and how this could affect Apex and specifically ALGS. Well, this leak came out last night, and it was an unfortunate one because a lot of these, I guess, staff members involved in this were very sad to see this leak come out because it was more of a feedback session and a trial error right now. But sadly, it came out a little bit earlier than intended, and you even had some official people make some remarks on this as well. But apparently, here's what happened. A pro player inside of the pro Discord got sent some pictures regarding some new changes that were coming into the game, and sadly, they leaked that out to someone else, and then someone else leaked it out to these media outlets, and then these media outlets, I think, posted it on Reddit, so other media outlets got involved as well, and everybody was posting what was supposed to be something that was hidden for quite some time. And then we'll even see some official responses in just a second. However, EA lays out a controversial plan. So says esports to remove the dropship start from the Apex Legends competitive side of things. Teams will no longer drop, as we discussed in some of these ALGS expos that were found, but they'll spawn into one of 29 POI locations per map, decided by a POI draft at the start of each ALGS playday. I freaking love that. So there is a draft in which teams will be able to pick their spots, and I'm assuming the draft order is probably going to go based upon a list of other things, and we'll read the statement that they put out earlier. But EA believes that this will be a greater test of skill. So let's take a look exactly what they had to say. So in a full statement that was posted on all of these outlets, we had the following remark: we feel as though we are able to adequately address each of these issues. The preset spawn system was introduced to the game in Tuesday's update and is playable inside of private matches. Now, it was kind of already leaked because of that anyways. We knew they were going in this direction, but they said in this system, all teams are aligned to one of a possible 29 specific drop locations on Stormpoint or World's Edge. When additional maps are introduced into the ALGS, hint, hint, we will approach them in the exact same way. Each team drops simultaneously from a preset height above their POI. We hope to implement this system starting with the Split 2 regular season, freaking love that, in ALGS Year 4 Pro League. And to do that, we're hoping that you will test these various settings and provide us with some specific settings feedback as well as general system feedback. How does this solve the POI selection issue? Well, we plan to implement a POI draft for each day of the Pro League and each round of the LAN event. So each Pro League day 1 through 9 would have a snake draft, which if you guys are not familiar with the snake draft, basically same thing as your fantasy football stuff. It goes in order, then reverse order, in order, then reverse order. So over the course of a team's 6 Pro League days, they would have some instances of picking early and some of picking in the middle and some of picking late. This would be able to balance at the end of the day for day 9, and for the regional finals and LAN rounds, the draft order would be weighted out by your performance. So with high performers and seeds drafting earlier and low performers drafting later, we believe this system will be more fair than the current informal process. We also believe it will serve as a greater test of skill, given the expected result is a more varied list of landing locations per team. Teams will need to be able to efficiently loot, rotate, and win from more locations. Our goal in most cases would be to hold each draft weeks prior to competition to allow for as much POI practice as possible. How does this solve the issue of fighting immediately after hitting the ground? Well, only one team can occupy each of the 29 landing locations, and the drop height isn't actually high enough to fly to any other POI other than the one that you've chosen. Some of the larger POIs have more than one landing location, and some POIs are close together. As a result, we hope ALGS matches will continue to have early game fighting, and if they do, the conditions for those fights will be improved, where all players have a loadout, which basically they're at least mildly happy. We understand that this will no longer highlight Jumpmaster skill, but we do believe the pros far outweigh the cons here, and so I definitely agree. How does this solve the looting and rotating disparity? Well, all players will hit the ground within seconds of each other, and the ring location will be the biggest determining factor in looting and rotating and advantages and disadvantages, but the difference between the luckiest and most unlucky team will be significantly improved. I love this. Again, now we did have some issues come out here. Of course, many people were not happy that this leaked out. Even Shaw, which is the partnerships for Apex Legends, basically came out and say, if you're going to leak it, at least leak the full thing. But basically this additional piece was just kind of emphasizing, make sure to DM us with feedback. We want feedback. This is not something that is guaranteed coming. They are just simply working on it. They are testing some things out. They are trying to see if they want to go in this direction or not. And honestly, I do hope they do take it this direction, because I feel like this is going to be best for the game in the long term. Also, we had some comments from TSM's former social manager, Dunk, that said it's a real shame that information like this that gets shared in a private Discord with Apex Pros, where they're specifically told not to share anything outside of it, gets leaked out. And so honestly, it is kind of unfortunate to see stuff like that happen. I know some of these people that were working on this and trying to cook this up were not happy to see it, but it happens at the end of the day. And I think it was started off from a Reddit thread, and I'm not sure what pro actually was the one that leaked it out, but I know that if they found out who it was, it would be some unfortunate stuff. So here was a little bit of a graph that my editor put together. Shout out editor. Make sure to show the editor some love in the comments below. But here's like an idea of what like these POI locations could be, right? So you might have some POI split up in north and south. Like Thermal Station is a really big section here. You might have, you know, Fisher. I think Fisher honestly could be split up into two. But basically, there's multiple different spots here, and it's not just POI based, right? Everybody thinks that there's X amount of POIs and that these POIs are the only locations that you could drop. But the names of these POIs could honestly be split up into a south and a North version. And that's why you have Fragment that was originally it was Capital City, but then it changed to Frag East and Frag West. I think some of these things could be split up, and especially Climatizer is one as well. So it might look a little different, but I do think that this is going in the right direction. Interested to see if you guys like this idea, if you think it should come in the future of Apex. Now, Rogue came out, obviously, as a streamer and has played in the Challenger circuit as well. He said it should just stay with ALGS and should not get involved with ranked or anything like that. I do think the idea is great, but it might be a little bit too complicated to bring into ranked right now. So we'll see exactly how they approach this situation, but interested to see what you guys have to say down in the comment section below. But like the video and subscribe to the channel if you guys want to stay up to date with all things in the world of Apex Legends esports news. And until the next time, we will see you all later, Gators.